Hello, this is Linus Gamer ATZ. Thank you all for 15 subs. So for my special, I'm going to do a very brief history of Linux gaming overview. So before there was Linux, there were a lot of other Unix-based distros, such as BSD, which still exists. There's NetBSD, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, but anyway, there was game development on those. There were some games that got quite popular, such as NetHack and XConk. However, the first major game to be ported to Linux was Doom, which you've probably heard of. I never actually played it, I don't know anything about it, but I hear it's quite popular. And of course, there is Wine, and its front end play on Linux. Wine is extremely influential in the history of Linux gaming. I have used it myself many times. There are many titles still that aren't available for Linux, and unfortunately, one of the side effects of Wine is people are perhaps less motivated to actually port their titles to Linux because people are doing just fine with Wine. But in any case, whether they port them or not, they're still going to work with Wine, so yeah. And then from 1998 until 2002, Loki Software ported various games to Linux, such as Civilization Call to Power and SimCity 3000, both versions of very popular games. And of course, we can't forget Steam and GOG, two of the biggest game distributors, as I guess the term I would use. So in 2012, Steam was ported to Linux, and the next year they made the SteamOS Linux distro, which is actually a pretty big distro and not really meant for personal computers. It's meant basically like to give a console experience to PC gaming, according to Wikipedia. I don't know. You may note I play Steam games and do not use SteamOS. You don't have to. Anyway, the next year, 2014, GOG announced that they would begin Linux support for some of their games, and indeed they have. I own Terraria on GOG for Linux, and it works quite well. And then in 2018, Steam released their own version of Wine called Proton, which I believe has some slight improvements. It's got some X11 features for better video performance, but I've used it before. It's pretty reliable. Unfortunately, as you may know from my Mars Horizon closed beta video, doesn't always work. I actually had to use straight Wine to get Mars Horizon running. Anyway, thank you again for 15 subs. I have been Linux Gamer ATZ, and I guess still am. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.